what I'm on about. We did a project over at Box Park a couple of months ago, just looking for new voices, just trying to bring new voices onto the radio, you know, people that we've never heard before, people who just, you know, have something to say about their lives, about life or whatever. So we met a load and then we drew up a shortlist, and this shortlist are the people that you're meeting. And today it is Sted KB. He is one of the auditionees and we loved listening to him. He's from the volcanic Caribbean island of Montserrat. He's no stranger to the stage. He came to London at the age of 17 and is in his story. He told us about a close encounter with one of London's music stars. Have a listen to his 1 minute, that's all they were given, then we will speak to him.
So, go to this film screening, walk in, smelling good, looking good, I say to myself. I walk in, pull up to the back, I'm a bit late, and I started chatting to this guy right next to me. I talk to anyone. I could talk to you on the tube, on the bus, I could talk to your dog if you let me. So I'm there speaking to him, the screening's ending, this girl is in the front talking, I'm like, oh wow, she's beautiful. Bearing in mind I'm talking to this guy, I've never even asked him his name. So at the end of the screening now, I've met my friend, we're talking about who's in the room. She's like, oh, this person there, that person there. And then she's like, oh, Kano is here. I'm like, Kano? Who's Kano? I'm having a moment now. In my head, I'm like Mariah Carey did to J-Lo, I don't know her. I'm from the Caribbean, like, I've never met like a grime artist. So now she's like, oh, that's Kano. I'm like, oh my God, that's the guy I was having the conversation with. And she's like, oh, that's his girlfriend. I'm like, wow. Thank God I didn't say to him, bro, your girlfriend's hot. Because, yeah, it would have been a situation. So that was my first time meeting Kano. And that's only part one.
Oh my gosh, Sted, it's so nice to meet you. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
And there's so much of that I could relate to, you know, missed identity and moments and the celebrity red carpet do's and everything else.
Yeah.
But what I love about you is that you are very much a people person.
Definitely.
And that you say that I could talk to literally everyone.
Yeah.
And we need to say that you came in here and I was playing a track and then you literally interviewed me. Because I said, oh, you went to Rose Bruford, which is where I trained, drama school I trained. And then you just were throwing these questions at me and I thought, gosh, at the end of that, I thought, I love talking about myself anyway. But you really are intrigued, aren't you, by people?
I genuinely care about people, yes. And what they do, their well-being. And I just like to get to know people and where they're from, their background, and find that common ground so we can have good, genuine conversation.
You have the best voice ever. Rose Bruford would be very proud of
I
you.
hope so.
You
I hope Tony's listening.
voice.
My tutor, Tony James, he was amazing.
Well, it's an amazing college, and I'm really chuffed you went to it because I think everyone that goes to Rose Bruford has something about them. I just believe that because they don't go for a type like RADA. They always say these different drama schools go for a type.
Yeah.
I think Rose Bruford, everyone always says Rose Bruford students are always very quirky. They look for all different things.
This is true. And funny enough, I was actually the last person to get on my course that year because I was on my placement year and I was working for the NHS at the time because I studied accounting and finance at university in De Montfort. So when I was looking for a course, I was like, okay, I want to do this acting thing, but I definitely want to find a course, get some training. And then I realized I found the course online and I emailed straight away. I was like, I think it was starting that week. And I emailed and I was like, can I get a space in this course? Like, I would love to. The tutor emailed me back and he said, come with the tuition check and your audition piece, and then we'll see how it goes. So I emailed him back. I was like, well, I don't have the check right now. I haven't been paid yet.
Do you have an audition piece?
Well, I had a piece because I was in a play before with this lovely lady called Lorna Blackman, and she kind of helped me with my acting at that time. And I had a piece from one of the plays that we did called Good Black Men and Good Black Women. And I had that piece. So I went to the audition. I stood in front of him and I did it. And the funniest thing, he asked me a very strange question. He said to me, if a director, and this has always stuck with me, is if a director said to you, I want you to get naked for this piece, what would you say? And I was taken back by it. I was like, because in my head, I'm like, I don't think, no, like, what are we doing here? And he said, the answer to that question is that you always say no and you question why, the piece would need that. And and that always stuck with me because, you know, for me, I first of all, I would definitely question why, especially coming from my background, and you know, I'm a man of faith and all of that. I'm like, okay, why we're not going to do this?
You know, I'm just listening to you thinking they never gave us that speech, and all of us went, yes. You know, this is how times have changed. They
Right.
never gave us that bit of advice.
I know
ever.
it was definitely valuable advice, and I cherish that all the time, and I keep that with me, just in case, you know, not just for that situation, but anything similar to things that may come up that I may like, okay, why do I have to do this? You know, I'm not comfortable doing this. You know, it doesn't really sit within my moral compass. So just little things to that.
Interesting you said that. I knew an actress once who taught me yoga, actually. She was asked to go in a play, and I can't remember where it was, that had loads of blaspheming and swearing,
Right.
really strong language.
Yeah.
And she just went, no, I'm sorry. And
Yeah.
I said, gosh, well, I mean, because there's no work around. You know that. There's no
Yeah.
work for actors.
Yeah.
And I went,
Yeah.
and she went, no, I won't do it.
Yeah.
And I suppose, you know, you probably have to set yourself standards, or you have to have such faith in good writing that you think,
Yeah.
if it's really well written,
Exactly.
then I'm not going to drown in this.
Yes.
But if it's not, and if it's in some shoddy little room upstairs in
Yeah.
some off West End,
Right.
you just think, there's nothing I'm going to gain from this.
Right. Exactly.
It's so interesting that you trained in accountancy.
Yeah.
So are your parents furious with you?
Well, I don't think my mum really mind too much because so my dad, I grew up with my mum and my stepdad and my siblings because my dad, he actually moved to New York because I was born in Montserrat. Yeah, I was born in Montserrat, and then my dad moved to New York just when I was born, and my mum went there for a bit, but she didn't like it, so she went back home, and you know, life went on. But then so I lost my train of thought.
No, just saying that she must have been thrilled you wanted to be
Oh
an
yes.
accountant.
So I think my mum's always been supportive in terms of what I wanted to do, but she's always wanted me to have a higher education. And I've always wanted that. I've always wanted to go to university, you know, coming from Montserrat and having those opportunities thrown at you. I'm like, because we are British dependent territory, and we are British citizens. So, you know, coming here, we are afforded the same opportunities as you know, someone who grew up here in some ways. So I was like, you know, I definitely want to get my degree and I guess chase my dreams after that. But it's so funny happened because I've always been on the stage. I've always I've always gravitated to you know, singing or dancing or whatever it was, and acting. And I think the turning point for me was when I was at university, and within my placement, well, within that time, I've met a lot of people in the arts. Even at college, I was always connecting to the actors and the dancers and the theatre group. So even at college, a lot of my uni crew now, they're dancers, they're drama people, and I connected to them, and you know, in some ways they inspired me to be, and I saw people my age doing it, and you know, would watch TV and be like, I can do that, you know, even though I'm from a little small Caribbean island, I still have big dreams, and I still have things that I'd love to achieve, and I'm not going to let that limit what I can achieve.
But
and
you
where I
said
would
to
go.
me, when you came in and we were talking about,
Yeah.
because you said, when you were quizzing me, and you
Yes.
went, do you still act? And I went, no, but my acting agent, my theatrical agent,
Yeah.
has just retired. And
Yeah.
it suddenly felt lonely. I just thought, well, in my mind, whilst I'm sitting here every afternoon, in my mind I was thinking there's an agent somewhere trying to find me a job, or Holby or something. I mean, I'm sure they weren't, but now they
Holby's a
never will.
good gig. I auditioned for Holby some years ago, actually.
Well, but now they never will, so it's weird thinking, gosh, I don't actually have a theatrical agent anymore.
Yeah.
So I've waved goodbye probably to that whole
You
way
think
of
so?
life. I mean, I miss the company of actors.
Yeah.
And I say again and again, probably every day, I miss dressing rooms. I love
Yeah,
dressing rooms because
yeah.
they're crazy.
Yeah, they are intense.
But I was saying to you, I don't know how any of you get work anymore, because there was a lot more
tough.
work around. And we didn't do this self-taping business. And you said, I can never get anyone to self-tape for me, and I use my little sister.
Yeah, she does. I do, yeah.
Because so much will rest on what you do on your mobile
Indeed,
phone
yeah.
as to whether you will ever get the job.
I know. It's a very intense industry, and it's hard. And you know, you go through good moments and you go through bad moments. The joyous moments are when you get the job, and then
The worst bit is having to do the job, because then you think I'm not good enough.
Right. It's always that battle of not being, you know, good enough or up to par. But I always remind myself, listen, they've chosen me. They've given me this job for a reason, you know. And I think to get through this and maneuver this whole acting career is what really keeps me and undergirds me as I go is my faith and, you know, my
Does
belief.
it?
Yeah, because I believe what's for me will always be for me, and whatever is in God's plan for my life will always come to pass. So if someone else got the job, okay, it was their turn. It was for them, you know, it wasn't for me. And I just view this whole thing as a marathon. It's not a sprint. So look at you. You've gone through the whole acting scene, and you've
But
done
I
different
come out
jobs. And
unscathed. Massive scars.
yeah, you do get that whole thing of, because you have to deal with those no's, and those no's are tough, especially when it's a significant job that's life changing. And I've gone through those moments, and it teaches you a lot about yourself and your character.
Do you know the thing that really taught me, and she's probably listening now, is when I first came to London from Brighton. I said to you I was working for BBC in Brighton, and I came here, and I was staying with a friend of mine who's a top casting director, and she would sometimes cast in her home if she was doing freelance stuff.
Right.
And so she would say to me, could you let these people in? Can you give them the size of script to read or something? And sometimes she'd say, can you read in with them?
Yeah.
And my God, it was an eye-opener, because...
Right, being on the other side.
Oh,
yeah.
you'd sit with someone and read the script with them, and they'd be utterly brilliant. And I used to, you know, I'd show them out and I'd say to her, oh gosh, that has to be, they are brilliant. Then I'd open the door to the next person, and they'd be equally as brilliant,
yeah,
but slightly different.
Yes.
And you think, oh my gosh, but they were brilliant. And this would go on all day long. And I suddenly realised why this will have happened to you. You will have gone to an audition, you thought, I know I've got this job.
Right.
And then you never hear from them. And
Which is
somebody
heart
would have
wrenching,
been
yeah.
slightly different.
Yes.
No better,
Yes.
no worse, but slightly different. And that's what happens.
And that's the thing as well. The only difference is sometimes is you as a person,
Yes.
and what you bring to the table, and your uniqueness and your own USP. And it's just difficult sometimes to accept.
So what do you, forgive me asking this, it is really personal. What do you, because I said to you, I worked in as many restaurants in London as I did theatres. I was a really good waitress. Because actors tend to be really good at everything.
Right.
Because they're so grateful. What do you do when you're not acting? What do you do?
So I just like you, I've gone through the whole. I've done a lot of. I've done waiting stuff. I've done call centers.
Oh
my
God,
I've done.
I didn't have to do that. That must be soul destroying, is it?
I've done agency work.
When you work in a call centre, does it make you become far more tolerant to people at call centres when you're talking to them?
Yes, and oh my gosh, it taught me so much. It taught me to don't take no as the final answer.
Really?
Oh yes, because there's always they always tell you we can't do anything else, but there's always more that they can do, because it's
This is interesting.
yeah. So like I worked for a clothing brand in a call center for like a year. I did night shift for them for a whole year. So I would do my auditions in the day and then work in the nighttime. It's hard, but people don't see this side of it. Like
you should write a play about this.
They really don't. So like people call and they would be like, oh, I've my jacket's damaged, and they would have bought that jacket maybe 3-4 years ago, and the company still gives them what they want. After,
because the customer's always right.
The customer's always right, and the company said to us that the amount that they lose doesn't compare to what they gain.
Make,
yes,
and
so
it keeps it, and they have a nice reputation that this is a kind company.
This is it.
And when you're at this call centre, because when I lived in Brighton, I used to pass a call centre that was in a basement, and everyone was sitting very close to each other with headsets on.
Yes.
And I used to think, what must that be like for 8 hours a day?
You know what I used to do? My shifts used to be from like 9 in the night till 8 in the morning.
No.
And you'll do 4 days
So
on and 4. Yeah, so I covered. So so I would cover some of the UK brands and then the UK customers, and then when they go to sleep, we'd cover the American ones.
Oh my God! So all these voices ringing. Hello.
Right.
That must be really interesting, though, isn't it?
It was very interesting. I spoke to many people. So you'd speak to people who are in LA who work. I got a lot of people from studios who would call getting costume. So I had someone actually call who was doing the movie for Will Smith at the time. I think they were filming in, I can't remember, Atlanta or maybe Canada. So you get a lot of studios calling with wardrobe.
That was, you could have been in
there.
Yeah,
like make some connections. Right. So you get so many different people. But to be fair, the one I worked for wasn't as bad, though I you know, didn't like it management wise, you know.
Yeah.
It wasn't as bad as for call centers as it goes in terms of comfort and what they
And are they
gave.
monitoring your calls?
Yeah, so you have your target, so
You do.
you get recorded,
So you
and
can't
then
just
they
phone your
will.
mum or anything.
Oh no!
So they
Like phone my gran in New York or my brother or sister over there. Yeah, no, they definitely record your calls. You get targeted in terms of how much you make in sales and all of that stuff, and sometimes you get bonuses, sometimes you don't, and
How
yeah,
interesting.
like it's.
Do you have an agent, an acting agent?
Currently, I still do have an agent.
Luckier than I am then.
Currently, I still do, but yeah, we you know. It's a fickle industry. You don't know what happens. But
We had Stephen Burkhoff, who is an extraordinary director, was an
Yeah.
actor, and is in a film at the moment. And he came in last week, and he's written this book called Actors' Tales.
Mhm.
I urge you to read it because it's about
Okay.
it's all written through an agent's eyes.
right,
Because all of us. When you have an agent, your agent's never good enough. But then when you see it through the agent's eyes,
Yeah.
of dealing with all these actors,
Right.
and trying to find
with all the
work,
insecurities.
with all those insecurities. And I don't know whether you've ever seen a film called With Nail and I. Have you seen it?
No,
It's
I
quite
haven't.
a famous film. I think it was in the 70s or late 60s or 70s.
Okay.
And it sums up, before mobile phones, it always summed up to me the life of an actor, because they are in the Yorkshire Moors, right?
Right.
And one of them's an actor in the Yorkshire Moors, and he realises he hasn't phoned his agent to see if there's anything for him.
Right.
And he's in a phone box in the middle of a field, phoning his agent saying, "Is there anything for me?" And I just thought, how many times did I do that? In different and there's
How many
never
times?
anything for you.
Right.
There's never. In fact, once I remember my agent going, "Who are you?" And
No,
I thinking,
no.
This is as bad.
That
as
is
it
very bad.
So
If your
what's-
agent says that.
What's in? So how often do you go back to
Montserrat. You know what? I tend to go back almost every year, but these days I go back because people are getting married a lot. I'm at that age now where friends are
Yeah,
getting married.
yeah.
But I go back a lot for around March time because that's St. Patrick's Day and we celebrate St. Patrick's in Montserrat. It's a whole week of activities. Though we celebrate it differently because it's to commemorate slavery times when
Right.
because a lot of the slave leaders were Irish at the
Right.
time. So the slaves decided to revolt on St. Patrick's Day when the slave leaders were probably inebriated. But then someone, told and it all came out. So it wasn't actually successful. But we still celebrate it to just commemorate that and what they did. And yeah, so Montserrat is it's called the Emerald Isle of the Caribbean.
Is it beautiful?
It's absolutely beautiful. And the reason why it's called that is because it has coastal effects to actually Ireland, and it's quite green in that sense. And a lot of our last names are Irish. And when you go to Montserrat, they stamp a shamrock in your passport. So there's a lot of Irish heritage there,
none of
and
that.
so we have a whole week of activity. It's a big thing. It's an absolutely big. You should go.
I would love it.
Go next
I would
March.
love it. Family is really important to you, isn't it?
Oh my gosh, everything. I love my family, and it's a thing of sometimes I probably put them before myself and my needs.
Before your career, do you think?
Sometimes I probably tend to do that, but it's fine because it's all out of love, and my mum did the same thing for me. My granddad, my siblings, they all, it's all a collective unconditional kind of love kind of situation. And my mum sacrificed a lot for me growing up, so I tend to I want to repay her and in the best way I can to make her comfortable, make her life comfortable, and then hopefully one day have her stop working so hard because she's a nurse. My mom's a nurse. Yeah, so she does a lot of night shifts and
Did
day
she
shifts
come
and
over
stuff.
here?
Yeah, so my mom came a little bit after me actually. So I came straight
So
after.
she's over here?
So mom's here. Yes, I stay with my mom and my sister. So mom's here. She came over and she did her degree here and stuff and got her nursing degree. She was a nurse all my life. So it's quite inspiring because she has 4 of us, and she was still determined after all that time to still get her degree, and it gives me
To work and to study.
and I've always had that instilled within me, hard work. So it takes a while, it takes a lot for me to just sit home and do nothing for a long period of time. I get agitated. I have to do something.
I think you've got a great career ahead of you. I really
Thank you.
do.
I received that and I appreciate
honestly,
that.
I really do. So the name is Stedroy KB.
Yes.
That's the name to look out for.
Yes.
And I've
You'll see it in lights one day.
I know. Seriously, I know that we will. It's so nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. I was looking for you on Instagram and I couldn't find you.
No, try my YouTube channel, Joe Good MiddleAgedMinx.
Okay. Joe, you've been great.
I've got 16,000 followers.
Have
and
you?
A massive YouTube.
Oh my gosh! Say hello to my Facebook.
Oh gosh!
Facebook. Tell them
Can I
when
put
they
it
can.
on?
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Say
No,
it.
it's fine.
Is this live?
It's Facebook Live.
Oh
Yes.
my God! Hello. So this man is so charismatic, isn't he? This is Gurpreet, my
Hi.
sister.
Sorry, G.
You are.
Hi. Yeah.
So can I just say that he went to the same drama school as me, which is Rose Bruford, and they turn out the most talented, charismatic
Agreed.
people. But also, I have a YouTube channel called Joe Good MiddleAgedMinx. I've got 16,000 subscribers, and I'm very old to be running a YouTube channel. But YouTube are fascinated by me because
Love it.
we're an underserved demographic. But also, I just think you are possibly one of the most charismatic people I've met. You have a massive future in front of you.
Thank
Scott.
you.
You truly do.
Thank
and
you.
I love your mum. Next time you
Yes.
come in, will you bring her in with you as
Yes,
well?
if she's free and not working, I will.
If she works hard.
She does
and
work
all your
hard.
siblings.
Oh, my
Thank
siblings.
you so much.
Thank you, Joe.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks, guys.
Oh, wow.